Have you ever wondered why some investors get richer during a recession while everyone else is panicking, selling, and watching their net worth collapse? Most people see a recession as a disaster. Warren Buffett sees it as a clearance sale on the best assets in the world. If another recession hits in the next few years, will you be one of the people who freeze in fear? Or one of the few who are calmly buying opportunities that only appear a few times in a lifetime? Welcome to Money Studio, where we explain how finance, freedom, investing, and the global economy shape your future. If you want to protect your savings, grow your wealth, and stop being afraid of the next crash, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and turn on notifications so you never miss our breakdowns. In this video, we're going to walk through Warren Buffett's 7 core rules for recessions, how he positions himself before a downturn, how he thinks when markets are falling, and how ordinary investors can copy the same logic step by step. Let's start with a simple truth: recessions are not a bug in the system. They are part of the system. The economy has always moved in cycles: expansion and contraction, boom and bust. You and I cannot stop that cycle, but we can choose how we respond to it. Most people only know one script when things look bad. They sell, they move to cash, and they hope. Buffett runs a completely different script when fear is everywhere and prices are collapsing. That's when he finally presses buy. So how does he prepare for that moment? Rule number 1: cash is your ammunition going into a recession. In normal times, Buffett agrees that cash loses value to inflation. If you hold too much cash for too long, you're falling behind. But heading into a potential recession, the game changes. Prices of stocks, real estate, and even good businesses can drop 30, 40, or 50%. If all of your money is already locked into investments at high prices, you can only sit and watch. If you have cash reserves, you can act. For regular people, that means 2 layers of cash. First, at least 6 months of living expenses in a safe account, so you're not forced to sell investments at the worst possible time. Second, a separate opportunity fund, money you do not need in the next 5 years, which can be used to buy when markets are on sale. Buffett has been criticized many times for holding huge amounts of cash at Berkshire. But when 2008 came, that lazy cash became a weapon. He could deploy billions while others were trapped. Rule number 2: make your shopping list before the recession, not during it. When markets are crashing, headlines are screaming, and everyone around you is afraid, it is almost impossible to think clearly for the first time. That's why Buffett does his real thinking in advance. For him, preparation means knowing exactly which businesses he would love to own more of. If the price was right, he studies them in detail: their profits, their cash flows, their competitive advantages, and he decides what they are roughly worth. You can do the same thing on your own scale. Pick 10 to 20 high-quality companies or ETFs you truly understand. Look at their long-term earnings power, their balance sheets, and how they performed in previous downturns. Then decide: if this drops to around this level, I'm a buyer. When the recession hits, you are no longer guessing. You are simply executing a plan you already made with a clear head. Rule number 3: never use borrowed money to invest, especially before or during a recession. Buffett is extremely blunt on this. Leverage destroys investors in bad times. When you use margin or loans to buy more assets, everything looks fine as long as prices go up. But when prices fall sharply, lenders want their money back. That's when margin calls force people to sell at the bottom. Some of the most sophisticated funds in history, run by people with advanced degrees and complex models, have been wiped out because of leverage. They weren't dumb, they were just overexposed. Buffett's rule is simple: only invest money you can leave alone for at least 5 years, preferably longer. If you never put yourself in a position where you are forced to sell, you give your investments time to recover. Rule number 4: diversify, but with understanding, not with blind collection. Many people think diversification means owning hundreds of different stocks through apps and fragments. Buffett disagrees. He believes in owning a handful of great businesses in different industries that you understand well enough to hold for a decade. Real diversification might look like this: a financial company, a consumer staples company, a utility, an insurance business, maybe an industrial or logistics company. Different sectors, different risk profiles. Why does this matter in a recession? Because not all businesses are hit equally. People might stop buying luxury goods, but they still pay for electricity, groceries, and basic services. Those steady businesses can keep paying dividends and generating cash, even in downturns. That stable foundation allows you to stay calm and even buy more of the companies that have dropped the most, without fearing that everything will go to zero. Rule number 5: watch the balance sheet like your life depends on it. In a recession, weak companies don't just suffer, they disappear. Businesses loaded with debt, with thin cash buffers and fragile cash flows, can be pushed into bankruptcy when revenue falls. That's why Buffett spends so much time looking at a company's financial strength. Before you invest, ask: how much debt does this company carry? How much cash does it have? Could it still pay its interest and survive if sales fell 30% for a couple of years? If the answer is no, move on. A business that only works in perfect conditions is not a business you want to own into a recession. Strong companies with conservative financing often come out of recessions even stronger because their weaker competitors vanish. Rule number 6: think in decades, not months. When you buy a stock like it's a lottery ticket, every price drop feels like a personal failure. When you buy it like you're buying a productive farm, everything changes. If you bought a good piece of farmland and 1 year had a drought, you wouldn't rush to sell the land because of a single bad season. You would judge it by its ability to produce over many years. Buffett views great businesses the same way. He has held companies like Coca-Cola for decades, through multiple recessions, bubbles, and crises. Short-term prices moved wildly. The long-term value kept growing. The stock market is a voting machine in the short run, but a weighing machine in the long run. If you focus on the weighing machine, on earnings and cash flows, recessions become temporary storms, not permanent disasters. Rule number 7: live below your means so you can always play offense. The least glamorous rule is often the most powerful. If every pay raise turns into a bigger house, a fancier car, and more monthly payments, you can never build the cash reserves you need. High income alone does not create security. High savings and sensible spending do. Buffett has lived in the same house for decades. He could buy anything, but he chooses not to. His lifestyle gives him something far more valuable than status symbols: permanent safety and the freedom to act when opportunities appear. For you, this might mean deciding that whenever your income rises, your lifestyle stays the same for a while, and the difference flows into savings and investments. Over a few years, that gap becomes your recession war chest. So let's put this all together. Recessions are guaranteed. Exact timing is not. You don't need to predict the month or the year. You need a framework that works whenever they arrive. Build cash reserves so you are never forced to sell. Prepare a shopping list of strong businesses before the panic begins. Avoid leverage completely, so you can hold through volatility. Diversify intelligently across sectors you understand. Demand strong balance sheets from any company you own. Think in decades, not days. And live below your means, so you always have the ability to buy when others are afraid. Most investors will not do this. They will wait until the headlines are terrifying, then they will sell at the worst possible time and swear off investing until it's safe again, usually near the top. You don't have to repeat that cycle. You can decide today that the next recession will not just be something that happens to you, but a chapter you have already prepared for, financially, mentally, and strategically. Your future wealth will not be decided by one news event or one market crash. It will be decided by your behavior in those moments. Whether you panic with the crowd or quietly follow a plan. So as you think about the next 5, 10, or 20 years, ask yourself, will you be the person who fears every downturn? Or the person who has been waiting, patiently, for the sale? This is Money Studio. Subscribe, like, and turn on the bell for more daily insights on economy, investing, and current affairs.